At guard, number 78, Greg Hermanut. At tackle, number 69, Jim Metz. At tight end, number 80, John Reardon. At split end, number 14, Paul Marinville. At tailback, number 16, Mike Frazier. At flanker, number 30, Steve McIntyre. At fullback, number 26, Steve Piggott. At quarterback, number 5, Dan Zaneski. And at guard, co-captain number 64, Dave Gusio. Number 32, Carlton Jolly, the ball.
Okay, better than nothing. Okay.
Ball very kick. Taken by Steve McIntyre of San Diego. Zaneski on a keeper. Delay of game. It'll be 4th and 7. Fitzpatrick. Dallas on the keeper, brought down by Jim Metz. keeper, brought down by Dave Guzzigan. Balneary in front formation for Long. McIntyre and Zanevsky deep for Hand. Flicker on the carry, gain of 4, second and 6. Zanevsky's pass intended. Zanevsky on the keeper. Shot from number 36, Foran. Janetsky's punt is taken by Fitzpatrick. Long touchdown. For 5. Janetsky on the keeper. Straight ahead. Janetsky hands off. takes the kick at the 18. Law will start 1st and 10 from its 23. Red ball there, back short of the line of scrimmage. Carlton Jolly is the ball carrier.
Call it, yeah.
Flag, stop the play. Motion penalty against.
Oh, way to hit that tight end.
Dallas is back.
Block this.
McIntyre field. Zelensky on a keeper. Zelensky again on the keeper. Second and 7 hand from the 34. Zelensky's pass is complete to Cooper. There is a flag with a loss of 3 on the pass. It'll be 3rd and 10. Carlton Jolly, the ball carrier, stripped up by Jim Monahan. Shallis' pass is for a Law first down at the hand 38. Energy fields the second half kickoff at the hand 20. On the stop for loss, gain of 4, will be 2nd and 6. Grant Flicker carries to mid. Sineski's pass is complete. Sineski on a keeper, crosses the 45. Crosses the 40 for a hand 3rd down. Grant Flicker. Flicker on the carry. Grant Flicker the back. Red ball there. Stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Charlotte's pass is complete to Fred Balleri. However, there is a flag on the play. Grant Flicker, the ball carrier. keeper, picks up a hand, first down. Zaneski on the keeper. On the ball carrier. Zaneski drops for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. Ball is held on downs and will take over. Brian Fitzpatrick, the ball carrier. Carlton Jolly, number 32, the ball 50 raffle. Third quarter with the Matt Cooper on the carry. Carries Foran, first 50-50 lottery, 652-888. We have a winner in the 50-50 raffle. Prize of $103 is claimed by Mike Underwood, assistant football coach at Morgan. stopped at the line of scrimmage. Charlotte's on the keeper, picks up a first down at the 34. Fitzpatrick on the carry. Carlton Jolly into hand territory. Brian Fitzpatrick, stopped by Dan Zanetti. Carlton Jolly on the carry. 38. There's Charlotte on the keeper. Delay of game time. Charlotte's pass is incomplete. Red ball area in punt formation. The next pass complete to Marenzo.
Joe LePage and Bill Attell on the camera work tonight for the windiest game of the year here from the top of the press box in the Surf Club.
Still not as windy as Middletown last year, though, Chris.
That's for sure, when we lost the camera.
Yes, we did. We lost the second half. We enjoyed ourselves by sitting in the press box in the second half. Christopher, an interesting development tonight. Jonathan Law has added a football player, and he's number 32, and his name is Carlton Jolly. And last week, Carlton Jolly was playing for Foran. Talked to Joe Ballard, the Foran coach, before the game, and Joe said that Mr. Jolly was unceremoniously booted off the Foran team, and apparently decided to transfer schools during the week, wound up at Jonathan Law, is in uniform tonight, is wearing number 32. If he plays, he's going to be totally and completely illegal according to CIAC rules, because unless he changes addresses or is told that he must change schools, which he was not, he must sit out 365 days. The fact that he is suiting up tonight is real questionable, but if he gets into the football game, there's absolutely no question that he is illegal. Larry Ciotti is aware of the situation because Joe Ballard talked to him before the game, and I would assume that there would be a protest filed with the CIAC should he get into play. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens right there. His number is 32, so if anybody sees him, there he is.
He's out on the field right now to receive the kickoff, it looks like.
Yes,
here.
he is, as a matter of fact.
Hal, let me ask you, why would the law staff and administrators allow him to suit up if he would be illegal?
Apparently, the feeling there is that he was forced to change schools because he was asked to leave the football program at Foran. My understanding is that he was asked to leave for a variety of reasons that probably shouldn't be discussed. But the fact is that he was asked to leave the program. Apparently, people decided, his folks decided, that that was enough reason to transfer him, and this is basically against the rules. It's as simple as that. And right now, this game ought to be under any kind of protest that comes about.
McIntyre with the wind at his back, boots it to Jolly, who fields it at the 8, gets out over the 15, 20, cuts back over the 25. And we remember him from last year. He has good speed, takes it up to the 30-yard line.
And he's out right at the 30-yard line where Joe McAlpine marched the ball. His name is Carlton Jolly.
We should also preface that, Hal, I think, by saying that the two schools are in the same town.
Which makes it totally illegal because it means he hasn't moved.
Exactly.
And if he hasn't moved, he's got 365 days to sit, and he is totally and completely illegal, Chris.
For the lawmen, yet to put a W on the board, start out with a power right, and they run that way, pick up of about 5 yards, and that's one of the halfbacks, Brian Fitzpatrick.
And Danny Sineski in on the hit on the play. And we noted Joe McAlpine spotting the ball out there, and we have a very, very good officiating crew on tonight. And as soon as I find out all the names, I will read them to you. Okay. The referee, the man with the white hat, is Steve Narachi. Joe McAlpine is the line judge. We'll do the other two in a minute.
And that is Carlton Jolly, and Marinville has a hold of him, and with a little help takes him down for a loss of about 3.
Also getting up off the bottom of the pile there, Danny Sineski. As we said, the man in the white hat is Steve Narachi, who's the athletic director at East Haven High School, the referee. The umpire is Al Rocco. The line judge is Joe McAlpine. The linesman, Dave Holroyd. And the man with the clock is the still Hillhouse basketball coach, Tony Vitello, one of the best in the business.
Fred Baldieri, the ball carrier, picks up about 1 on a counter, and it'll be 4th down and long, about 7 in a punting situation into the wind for the Lawmen.
Jimmy Monahan on the bottom of the stack there, number 12, making the hit, and leaving Law with a 4th and about 7. The Tigers anticipating punt here.
It's McIntyre and Zaneski back, standing inside their own 40-yard line. Good pressure by the Tigers, and little contact, but no flag. Fair catch by McIntyre at the 46, where the Tigers will have their first possession of the evening with 10:09 to go here. here. in the first
Baldieri was very lucky to get that kick off because that was very, very close to being blocked. And I think a good no call, Chris, because it didn't look like there was really anything there. The contact was minimal, if any. And, you know, he didn't go down or anything along that line. So, you know, you can't even call it running into the kicker on that block.
Tigers come out I formation. Two tight ends and give is to Cooper, but a whistle blew the play dead first. And the penalty should go, Hal, I would think, against the Tigers.
I believe it's going to. Yes, it's going to be a false start, an illegal procedure against hand, which is too bad because there was a very nice hole there. Coop hit it very quickly. Law playing a 4-4, which is very similar to the hand defense. Tigers played the 4-4. And hand got that off-tackle hole, got a kick-out block, and there was room there for him to run. And Matt Cooper probably had 6-7 yards into the secondary when the play was blown dead.
Cooper starts at fullback, Frazier the tailback behind the quarterback Dan Zaneski, and it's the Cooper, same play. This time he's read a little bit better by the lawman after a pickup of about 3. Cooper's taken down.
Grant Flicker will see some action tonight, but he's injured, and it's going to be minimal action offensively for him, which is too bad for the Tigers because he has certainly done a heck of a job so far this year. But with the injury, Frazier getting the start, and one would assume that he's going to do a pretty good job too.
Single setback. We have trips left, and Zaneski will roll that way. Looks to keep it, cuts back, and picks up a couple. He'll get close to the original line of scrimmage. We'll call it 3rd down and a long 10.
He got a pretty good block on the outside from Dave Guscio that allowed him to get what he did get because he could have been tackled in the backfield. And Guscio just kind of brushed the man off and gave him a shot here. Should be a passing down, Chris, and there is room to throw in between the 2 safeties and the 8 men up front.
And Zaneski on a quarterback keeper will get about 7 or 8 yards. They'll come up short. And probably, I would suspect, a punting situation for the Tigers.
Oh, especially with the wind, Chris. One would assume that Zaneski will punt, and Danny did kick the ball real well last week. Got it to turn over, got some nice yardage, and is averaging fairly close to 40 yards a punt on the year, even though neither you nor I thought that he kicked well. Larry Ciotti thinks he's kicked well all year. But this could be one of those things where, with a good kick, it could put the Tigers in very, very good shape. Let's say inside the 15 would be a nice punt right here.
Eric Jones and Ed Shallowitz drop back.
Delay a game on the Tigers.
Well, originally, Hal, the Tigers had the regular offensive unit out there, and then a little later, they brought out the punting unit, and that slowed things down for them.
Tell you what, that was a long 5-yard penalty, Chris. That looked like about a 6.5 or 7 yarder.
The lawmen make a change now, and they send back Ryan Fitzpatrick. Matt Cooper is the long snapper for the Tigers.
I'll tell you where they are right now. Zaneski can hit the ball over their head.
Jim Monahan, the safety back there. And Zaneski hits it. It'll be fielded at the 20. That's Fitzpatrick. Tries to go right. Has some running room. Turns the corner and is stepped out of bounds with a little help from Cooper and Monahan at about the 32-33-yard line.
Brian Short, nice play there to set it up to take the man out of bounds. I mean, he didn't have anything to do with the final tackle, but I think he stripped some interference out and made it possible. And I thought that Danny could get the ball over his head. You know, it was right there at the 20, a couple of yards higher, and that ball was definitely inside the 10.
You did mention Blicker's slight injury. He is starting on defense. As Hal mentioned, we'll see some limited play on the offensive side. And the quarterback Shallowitz will be dragged down for a big loss. That's Jimmy Metz.
Jimmy Metz with a nice play, good pursuit, came across, just simply outran people that he wasn't supposed to be outrunning. There was a pulling guard on that side, who was just supposed to come out and take somebody on the outside. Jimmy Metz ran down the play from behind. Excellent play.
Loss of about 5 will bring up 2nd down 15. No score, 7:20 to go. First quarter between the Tigers and the Lawmen. out of the shotgun formation. It's Chalice, looks over the middle, can't find anybody, pressured, and slips a couple tackles, slips a couple more. Finally, Guzio trips him up over the 30 to about the 34-yard line, and yarded 2 past the original line of scrimmage.
You got to give Chalice some credit on that, because there were twice at least that he could have been taken down for losses, and he wound up turning it into about a yard and a half gain. Actually, about a 6-yard gain, bringing up a 3rd and 9. Interesting law going with a shotgun on 2nd down, and here's the shotgun again. No, not a shotgun. He's going to go with the wishbone here.
And I believe the ball carrier there was Valdieri, I believe, 44. Yes.
Yes, he was. And he's going to be back to punt now. Interesting, Chris. You go with the shotgun on 2nd down, and then you come up and run tight with the wishbone on 3rd down and long.
And that brings up a 4th and 3-4 yards, and they're in a punt formation.
This is the same coach who's using an illegal player, so you sort of wonder.
That's Valdieri. Zaneski at the 35, turns the corners, got the wall set up. Couple men to beat down the sidelines, and we know what happened last week. And Zaneski taken down inside the 40 at about the 37-yard line of the Lowman.
And Baldieri, number 44, one of the people over there making the hit, along with Jimmy McCarthy, number 90. And this was something that Larry Ciotti was saying before the ball game. He said, I think we can get 1 on offense, maybe 2. He says if we break a punt or we get a defensive play that can score us a touchdown, he says we score 21, we'll win. We score 7, we'll lose. We score 14, it's a close game.
Marinville and McIntyre to the left. Blicker now in the game. He'll get the pitch left. Finds a little room, skips a couple tacklers, gets inside the 35, down to about the 33, and a nice pickup of somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 yards.
I think he ran a little tentatively on that, though, Chris. He didn't look like the Grant Blicker that we've seen before, where he's very, very incisive when it comes to finding a hole. Maybe the injury bothering him just a tad, where he's thinking about it before he's doing it.
Burke, McIntyre, and Reardon all to the left. Behind the I formation. Zaneski long down to Blicker. Blicker skips a couple tacklers and gets down to the 25, enough for a Tiger first down.
Excellent blocking up front. Just opened him a hole that you or I could have walked through.
We talked about the line play last week, how much better it had been, and it's similar this week.
Oh, certainly no question about that. You're seeing some much better play from the offensive line, I think, than you saw early in the year. People coming of age, just like learning how to play football.
Short, Hermanat, and Hevesy were on the left side of that last play. Cooper runs behind his center, Brian Short, and gets down to about the 21, a pickup of about 4. Obviously, Larry Ciotti, the coaching staff, has decided that the fullback give is going to work a little bit better tonight, because already the fullbacks carried the ball as much as they've carried it in any of the previous games.
Right. You've got Short in the middle with Guzio and Hermanat, and Jimmy Metz and John Hevesy. A very, very capable offensive line and very young kids who are learning how to play the game.
Frazier, and down to about the 20, pick up a 1. Looked to be a hole, but he closed up quickly.
The linebacker closed on that very, very well. It was a very slow developing play. By the time Michael got there just wasn't anything to run to.
Well, we've seen the Tiger backs.
Probably, Chris, right now, a very, very big play early in the game here with a 3rd and 5. The hand is in 4-down territory. The Tigers have to make 2, 3, 4 yards on this play, though.
Zaneski rolls out left and overthrows his man who was open. Burke was open after the catch. He would have been short of the first down, but may have been able to scramble for it.
Was open, but I shudder a little bit here at that call because Hand is moving the ball on the ground, and now you're sitting here with a 4th and 5. We had 2 downs to gain 5 yards. Now you have 1.
Well, obviously, defensing the Tigers to mainly run, as we've seen about 9 men up very close to the line of scrimmage on most of the plays. They'll back off here a little bit because they figure it's a passing situation. Tigers spread it out. They sent Marinville and McIntyre way wide left.
be open right here if he throws quickly.
McIntyre in motion. It's a keeper. It's an Esky lined up that way because McIntyre came up to block. And a loss of about 1 will turn it over to the Lawmen.
Okay, if that's one of those plays that you see in college a lot, where you're going to run 2 people and basically you run, one guy runs the defensive man off the play. If they run that pattern and Marinville, and they do the same thing basically with where McIntyre cut across, if Marinville cuts that play into the middle of the field, he has 5-8 yards anytime he wants it.
And it's the halfback who slips down after making a cut. That was Fitzpatrick. Still manages to pick up about 3 yards.
Yeah, the only reason he didn't get 7 or 8 is because he fell down all by himself.
Well, I'll mark it back to about 2. I'll call it 2nd down and 8.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick had a big gain there. He had 2 people out in front of him, and the Tigers didn't really set up well defensively. At that point, they were being blocked out. He at least had 7-8 yards and maybe more. He's got to come left here, and he does.
That's the counter they used before, and that's the fullback, I believe, wasn't it? No, the other halfback though in the area, over the 30 to about the 31. Hal, we've seen him set up, I think, in a couple powers,
basically,
wishbone, I think.
Basically running a lot of wishbone type stuff, or full backfield kind of stuff. You know,
but not on the wishbone formation all the time.
No,
Right
running
here.
running some power. This is basically just a real tight power eye.
Just going to the right, and he'll go that way. And picking his way through would probably be the best term for the Lawmen. Was the halfback Fitzpatrick.
Tigers don't seem to be reacting real well defensively at this point. Chris, a little bit back and just not setting up to the strength of the formation well. That's twice in a row that Law has been able to run its strength and Ian's weak side defensively.
Once again, strong right, they come back to the left.
That's 3 times in a row now.
That's Beldieri to the 42-yard line, and very close to first down. I think they'll need a measurement. Now they'll give it to him. 1:43 to go. The Lawmen have first down at the Lawmen 42.5-yard line.
Tigers setting up real strong to the tight end side, and anything that Law runs in the way of a counter. Okay, now here Ian's set up very balanced defensively, but the Tigers have been setting up unbalanced defensively, and Law has been running to the weak side of the hand defensive formation and making yards with it. That time the Tigers set up very much more balanced defensively than they have. They didn't overcompensate at all.
Law takes the penalty there. It'll make it first and 15. Minute 28 to go. That was not looking at the call now, but I imagine it must have been too much time.
All right, and this time Hand is very well set up defensively. I bet you we shot this short.
And to the 40-yard line is Fitzpatrick. Pickup of about 3, will leave him at third and about 12.
If they're forced to go both ways, Chris, they don't have a whole lot of problem with stopping what Law is doing. When they overcompensate a little bit, they're leaving a couple holes that are allowing for longer gains.
We haven't seen Carlton Jolly in a while. Of course, looking at the Law record, 0-3-1, I can see why they don't really care too much about a game being forfeited, but ethically, it certainly isn't
Not real
the right
good.
move. First time in the backfield, that's Kevin Mingo, number 80, listed as a cornerback on defense, only a sophomore, 5'10", 160.
We got third and a long 9 here, so one would assume that Chalice might be going to go back into that shotgun. Now he's going to come off tight.
A little mix-up there, I believe, and Chalice falls forward for a couple.
Yes, it was. Unquestionably, that was a broken play, and Chalice did what he could to salvage a yard or 2 out of it, but that was about it. But with no time left, the Lawmen are going to have the wind on the punt. So this could put Hand a little bit deep unless the Tigers get either a little bit lucky or a good punt return.
12 minutes gone by, no score between the Hand Tigers, and the lawman along. The punt end over end failed by McIntyre at the 23. The Tigers set up the wall right again. McIntyre forced to cut back as the lawman covered this one decently and taken down just over the 30-yard line as McIntyre.
Not really a great punt considering the wind, Chris. Maybe a little bit short. You know, that's one of those things in a way where he wouldn't have minded it being a little deeper, give McIntyre a chance to circle and get to the wall.
We should note also how it looks like we're getting a little bit more of a crosswind now than we originally had. It really seemed like it was blowing west to east early in the first quarter. Now a little bit more across the field.
Unfortunately, Dunk forgot to put the flag up.
Yeah.
We don't have anything to judge
Blown off
about.
the water. That's Frazier. He has a fairly good hole. Gets up to about the 34-yard line.
Red ball area on the stop for long. Pick up the 4 yards.
And the nose of the football up very close to the 35. 11 minutes, 10 seconds to go. First half. No score. Quickly paced game for both teams. Mostly on the ground. Tigers send two receivers wide right. That's Marinville and McIntyre. Single coverage. Give this to the tailback. That's Flicker. He breaks it.
Nice run, Grant Flicker.
43-yard line and a first down. And Flicker starting to run a little bit better than the first couple carries.
Spun twice and just basically did it on his own. Again, if the Tigers run the doubler chips to the outside, they send one man going to the inside to drag somebody off. They have people coming across that are going to be open, Chris. They can use the short passing game. A little bit of a rollout short passing game can work for them.
Rhino Sullivan checks in. He's flanked out to the left. And everybody looking at Zaneski. Pretty good fake by Dan. Out over the 45, 46-yard line.
Little sprint draw there with Flicker, maybe trying to counter it, come back, and if he'd gotten to the outside, maybe had some chance to run some. Still not a bad gain, 3-4 yards on that play.
Second down 6 for the Tigers. Burke comes out split wide right and wide left is O'Sullivan. Tight arm formation behind Zaneski, was over the defense. Straight drop back, forced out of the pocket and almost intercepted by Baldieri, intended for the tight end rear.
Different formation to throw out of. Basically, you had to pick a side to go to at that point. Not one of those things where you kind of look up and you see receivers in a row, but basically looking either way, and you make a real quick judgment, which way do I want to go? And he probably made the right judgment, Chris. Just the ball wasn't there.
Tigers come out with two wingbacks, send McIntyre in motion. They come with a reverse, and it's Udicek, and he's dragged down behind the line of scrimmage.
Udicek is going to see some playing time over the course of this ball game. He's really impressed the coaches with the way he's played. Tackle on that play, number 77, we do not have on our roster, of course. Not an unusual happenstance here. Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we have a number change for 77.
That was Fitzpatrick catching the punt from Zaneski at about the 33. Did a good job to catch that as he had a slide down from forward. It was a short kick into the wind.
You're right. Number 77 is Bob Trowbridge. We did get that number change before the game. I just goofed it up. My first mistake of the year.
By the way, remember that punt return we were discussing last week, whether it was 80, 85? I looked at the paper the next morning, they had 75. There's Carlton Jolly, and he gets outside, turns the corner, and he may be on his way. McIntyre has a shot, he cuts back, and I guess we can see why he's playing.
Illegal touchdown.
As he goes, let's see, 67 yards for the touchdown, 66 and a half. Carlton Jolly, we scan the field, no flags, and it will be 6 with 9:08 to go here in the first half.
Illegal too.
Should mention too, and Jolly is coming from a team that is having a better year than they've had in the past.
He just got booted off. He was persona non grata.
And the kick is good. That was Sweedock also a defensive end who put the extra point through the upright. So with 9:08 to go here in the first half, the Tigers have fallen behind 7-0.
That's Pete Foran, McIntyre, number 30, and Zelensky, number 5.
McIntyre and Zaneski standing at their own 15-yard line. We don't have the number for the kicker, number 85. Zaneski fields it about the 23, cuts left, and take it out of bounds at about the 37-yard line for a run back of about 14 yards.
Zelensky returns the kick into the hand 43, knocked out of bounds by
First and 10 from the 37-yard line. Tigers strong right. McIntyre moving that way left to right. Zaneski sprints out. He'll keep it. Has some running room. And bumps into his own man, Metz, and then falls out over the 40 to about the 42-yard line. Credit the tackle to Valdieri.
Good run by Dan Zaneski, all things considered, most of which is that the law realizes the Tigers are very, very reluctant to put the ball up in the air. And when Zaneski does that, they've got to figure run first, pass second.
You can't blame Metz on that because Zaneski was originally looking to throw the ball and he didn't want to get downfield, even though, and that's what happened. Zaneski actually bumped into Metz. And this time he'll throw out to the sidelines off the hands of Marinville. At about the 47-yard line, would have been enough for a first down.
A well-thrown pass, as good a pass as Danny Zaneski's thrown probably in the last 2-3 games, Chris, realistically. Right on the money. And Law got a very good defensive play out of that. You know, you don't fault the receiver on that play. That's a good defensive play. Simultaneous hit and bang it loose.
Third down, long 5 out of the eye, Cooper and Frazier. And they give us to the fullback Cooper, who does a nice job to pick up the first down.
And he kept his balance very, very well. Changed field. Almost looked like he was playing hopscotch there for a minute. On one foot, then on the other one, and kept it long enough to get the first down.
Shows a good strength there. Clearly, the stronger backs for the Tigers are Cooper and Blicker.
Blicker coming into the ball game right now, and Frazier coming out.
Frazier listed at 5'6", 138.
One assumes Blicker gets the ball here.
Cooper to Blicker behind Zaneski. It is Blicker straight up the middle. Spins nicely inside the 45 to the 44. Started out a little tentatively and now limps a little bit back to the huddle, but nonetheless he's getting the job done.
My goodness, Chris, you know, for a kid who he doesn't have good foot speed, but he finds holes and he knows how to get to it. And I'm just real impressed with him for getting what he does out of what he has.
Tigers, once again, they stack that right side with 3 receivers, and they go that way. Blicker finds some room and gets inside the 40 to the 39, and it's a first down.
Blicker on the carry. Eric Jones makes the stop for Law.
The Lawman at times not adjusting that well to the overbalanced line of the Tigers.
First down.
Makes no difference because this kid's going to find holes. He just does that very, very well. He finds holes.
Short, Hermanat, Guzio, Hevesy, Rear, all on the line of scrimmage, and Metz. And it's Blicker inside the 35 to about the 33 as Blicker just continues to lop off 5-6 yards of carry.
That's what he does. That's what he does.
John Neary and Molik Saxton combined for the stop for Law. Gain of 6. It'll be 2nd and 4 at the 33.
Tigers need to get inside the 30 to about the 29 for a first down. They send Marinville wide to the right.
About time for Coop to carry the ball here on the fullback.
McIntyre flank to the right also. It's Cooper, and he's met head on. Cooper got awful close to the first down again. Pretty good tackle there by one of the lawmen.
See the spot? Okay, he's going to be short.
Credit that to the defensive law. Somebody met him head on, stopped him in his tracks, and took him down. Form tackling.
Not easy to do with Matt Cooper either. Good play calling on our part.
Tigers a couple cracks here on 3rd and less than 1. Zaneski will get it easily, and more slips through. And dragged down from behind at about the 6-yard line. Excellent defensive play by number 89, Eric Jones, one of the quad captains for Law.
That's one of those things that every once in a while happens, Chris. You run the quarterback sneak, and people like kind of back off it a little bit. They make the initial hit, and then they maybe back off. The quarterback keeps going, pumps his legs a little bit, and all of a sudden, boom, he's through there. And 9 or 10 of the 11 defensive people have already committed. Now he's got like 1 down.
It's the blicker. He'll get inside the 5, somewhere around the 4, and especially, Hal, when you have a quarterback on a team who's probably
the fastest people
and just about as strong as most of the linemen and stuff on both teams. Zaneski, extremely strong boy.
Second and goal for the 4.
I think I give the ball to Blicker a couple more times here.
It's 2nd and 4 for the touchdown for the Tigers. Cooper,
full house here.
Blicker, maybe the wishbone.
Yes, it is.
Cooper, Blicker, and let's see, who else was in there? I think it was Henneberry.
Blicker did not get a whole lot on that play, maybe a yard. Out of the eye, he can do better than he is out running in that zone.
It'll be 3rd down and perhaps 3.5.
I think the Tigers are going to go back to the eye on this play.
Well, they break the huddle with Cooper and Blicker in the eye.
They may run that inside handoff to Cooper.
They send Burke wide to the right. They pitch to Blicker. He looks for room, cuts back, and met head on, and then still manages to get a yard or 2.
He gets down to 1.
And that was, Al, why don't you go with that pronunciation? That was Steve.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's going to take me about half an hour to read it. Never mind pronounce it.
Carlton Jolly.
Carlton Jolly sounds good to me, Chris.
On the tackle.
Yes.
And should credit him with a couple tackles.
Boy, I'm glad there was a timeout, because we never would have gotten that one pronounced.
It was he who stopped Cooper short of the first down before. I looked down at his name, and I said, oh, why bother?
Carlton Jolly sounds good.
Right.
We do it a couple times fairly quickly.
We'll get it down, right.
Yes.
Say Carlton Jolly 10 times fast.
Sorry, Mom, here. Chris, what do we got here? Make it call quick.
I have Zaneski. Option.
I got Cooper.
It's Blicker. Somehow he finds a way. Here we do. We talk about Blicker week in and week out, and we neither of us call.
Second guess, and don't give him the touchdown, and he gets it.
That's right. Over the left side. 7-6. Law in front. McIntyre to attempt the extra point.
The funny thing is, I talked to Dan Zaneski Sr. during the timeout, who's up here calling plays now. He said, the phones are out. I'm helpless. I can't make a call.
Tigers confused. They may have 12 men on the field here.
No, they don't. They're confused.
Okay, they got 11. Big extra point, and McIntyre may have pulled it. I don't know. Let's see here. Yes, he got it. Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. 7-7 with 3:41 to go. First half.
Looked like one of my 9-irons, but it did shank into. Ball game here. 7 for the Tigers, and I guess you could say 7 7 for Milford, 7 for Law, something along that line. And Jolly's back there getting to receive a kick.
And they'll let him handle it, and I don't blame him. At about the 18, 20, 25, 30, 35, out to the 37. Marinville.
There's a flag coming in late on the play, Chris. It's going to be interesting to see where the call
There is
comes
a
in.
flag on the play.
I'm not sure. He may have almost tripped down on his own, Jolly, but Marinville and
Okay,
Sullivan are over there.
I think we have a blocking below the waist call coming here.
19-yard run back by Jolly, nullified to some degree here as the ball will be spotted back at the 23-yard line.
Stephen Rachi gave the call, but he gave it so quickly and missed it. It was either a clip or block below the waist, one of the two. Paul Nichols says clipping, and Paul is back on the mic tonight, and we will go with what Paul has to say.
First and 10 from its 23.
First and 10, 23, 322. Mets, big hit in the backfield. Down at
play
the
by
20 for a loss of about 3 yards.
Jimmy Metz just simply blew his man away, came in and made a big play. Nice play.
The Mets has been making the plays the last couple of weeks. As you said, Hal, the line for the Tigers starting to come around.
Yes, Chris. And again, it's a young line. Hand very young all over the place, but certainly the line very young.
Phillip and Metz, they're the 2 tackles. And that's Carlton Jolly. And he's slow at about the 21.
And he again gets blown away, and there's 4 people in on the hit.
And on the stop for them.
Vine and Monahan off the bottom of the pile.
Gain of a yard.
Everybody's there.
22.
Hand doing a good job right now. With the exception of that one play that Jolly broke, Law has got nothing offensively. I don't think Law has a first down aside from that one run.
Stop the play.
We have some illegal procedure here, I believe.
Law with a little bit different offensive setup. They sent the halfback Fitzpatrick split way wide right. May have been looking to throw something long because he has pretty decent speed.
And as we know, the Tigers are basically devoid of that.
16 from 17.
Cooper and Phillip are on the left side of the defensive line. And it's Metz and Devine. Henneberry, Guzio, Monahan, McIntyre, Zaneski, Marinville.
Law spread out all over the place.
And looks left, comes back right, and probably thrown a little hard. I'm not sure. From this distance, I couldn't tell really how it looked.
Chris, if it wasn't thrown hard, it was perhaps a touchdown for the Tigers because Hand had that pretty well defensed. Even if the screen's set up on that flag, which is what that was, it was basically a throwback on that side. Hand had enough people out there to probably hold it to no gain, and perhaps somebody with a chance to step in and pick it.
I think I got 10 of the Tigers in on defense that last play. Sullivan also number 11. Once again, good pressure. McIntyre fields it. Does a good
Nice.
job. Probably saved the Tigers about
15, 20 yards, yes.
Inside Law territory at the 47 now.
A minute 34, Chris. Going to be interesting to see what Hand can do here. If Law goes into a prevent, I would guess that Hand probably tries to run the ball a couple of times, and maybe think about a field goal if you can get in close enough, although you're kicking into the wind. Don't count on Hand putting the ball up a whole lot.
If they end up scoring with a minute 34 left, you can credit much
Middle's
of it
open.
to McIntyre saving them 15 or 20 yards on that kick. Zaneski rolls out right behind a couple of blockers. And a good block from Cooper. And out of bounds, smart play. Stops the clock at about the 41-yard line.
Pat Lavin, 86, pretty good block on that play, too.
Only 5 seconds off the clock, and he picked up 5 for 2nd and 5.
If Law plays now, Law's overshipped a little bit. They got 2 linebackers in the middle. Last time that middle was open. It's not right now.
So the setback. Zaneski rolls right. 5 blockers in front. And Zaneski is taken down at about the 37-yard line.
Gets a generous out of bounds call to stop the clock, too. College ball, that was an inbounds, keep it rolling.
Tigers conserving well. Two plays have taken a total of 11 seconds.
And a first down.
Gain of 5 for the first and 10. At the 37.
Whole lot of room to the left side of the field right here, Chris, and he and his twice run to the short side. It'd be interesting to see what happens if the Tigers decide to come wide side.
They have Frazier in the ballgame as a flanker out to the left. They're looking for him. Now Zaneski, he may still pass it. And nice catch by Frazier. It's a little high. He pulled it down nicely for a short pickup.
That's one of those things that you really hate to see, because that was one of those little underhand flip forwards that he obviously saw watching television someplace and watching one of the college quarterbacks or something do that. And there are a number of them who do it. You hate to see that because there's absolutely no control of that. You know, that's just a get lucky kind of flip.
Zaneski over to the sidelines to confirm with the co-head coaches, Zakula and Ciotti, on a second down and a long 7 coming up with a 1:10 to go here in the first half and a tie ball game.
Larry Ciotti quite possibly to become the new AD. We understand that Bob Wilkinson is going to be tendering his retirement papers. Enjoy life and take a little bit easier. He's been in teaching and coaching for 38 years now. And certainly deserves everything that he can possibly get of being able to have something good happen.
And he does. Zaneski setting up a screen to Cooper and reading it well is probably the biggest defensive standout so far for the Lawmen. And we don't have to tell you who it is. It's the guy with the longest name.
Foran Jolly. Close.
Frederick and Jelly.
Frederick and Jelly.
Number 55.
There's also a flag on the play. This is going to toss the Tigers some more yards. No, this is going to be a pick it up. Joe McAlpine picks the play. Steve Naracci came over and waved and said nothing.
The flag was dropped by mistake.
Joe McAlpine comes over, picks the flag up, and we're going to go right on.
1 minute to play, and the clock is running.
There was a loss of 3 in the back.
3rd down and 10.
3rd and 10.
Single setback. 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Zaneski rolls right. And he's taken down inside the 35 at about the 34-yard line. The tackle by Trowbridge, number 77.
And takes its second time.
And the Tigers, interestingly, on 4th down with 40 seconds to go, the Tigers take
7.
The Tigers are pretty confident that their defense could certainly hold the Lawmen.
But I'm still not sure that I understand that. I'm not sure that I understand that.
I think that's definitely a call for their defense. I mean, I think they figure they can go for it. If they miss, they should be able to hold.
Why give Law basically a free play?
Well, especially when we've seen Carlton Jolly take it quite a long distance. It's only one carry.
Unless you're setting something up here where basically you're going to run a fake punt or you're going to run a trick play of some sort. You don't.
Size and make it 4th and 2 instead of 4th and 7.
Even a draw off size doesn't get you a first down. And the Tigers are not even going to punt. The Tigers are going to come out and go for it, period, on 4th and 7. So, okay, fine. In that case, you understand it because Larry Ciotti wanted to call a play.
And Zaneski, little play action over the middle and then back to the right side for Marinville. Underthrown. Would have been enough for the first down. 34 seconds to go. Lawmen take over. We'll have to keep an eye on the sidelines. Let's see if Carlton Jolly comes in. He's their biggest weapon. He's conferring. Yeah, here he comes.
He had Marinville open. That ball might possibly have been tipped for some, if you are watching this in VCR and have a chance to do a slow motion replay, check and see if maybe that ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. We unfortunately don't have that sort of capacity here, so we can only guess. But I'm guessing that maybe that ball might have just been tipped a tad at the line of scrimmage, and that's really a little short.
Jolly, Neary, and Baldieri. Of course, it'll go to Jolly, and he's got some running room. And he gets outside, he'll be in trouble. and down to the 45-yard line.
Tripped up by Jim Monahan.
And we have a Tiger down. I think it's Monahan.
I think it's
Carlton Jolly may have stepped on his hand.
yeah, it's upper body, whatever it is. So they're not looking as like when he first went down, I thought it might have been legs and wind knocked out of him. They're looking at upper body, so it could be any of a number of things.
25 seconds to go here in the first half. Quick first quarter, but somewhat of a long second quarter.
Speaking of upper bodies, Chris, did you happen to be watching the BC game last week?
I didn't see it, but I read about it. Scary.
Very scary. The only good part was that David got up and walked off the field in his own power. At that point, I decided he didn't have a broken neck.
And that was the concern at the time.
Because no matter what you are, you don't walk off with a broken neck. But apparently that was a fairly serious injury and will not play this week. But Jimmy Bell, who sat out with a hamstring, will be back.
And perhaps his sitting out made a big difference in their loss.
One would guess. Sanders had a pretty good ball game, but he's not Jimmy Bell.
First and 10, 25 seconds to go. Shotgun. Chalice looks deep and intended for Fitzpatrick, who had been out wide to the right a couple times before.
It'll be second and 10.
Actually, was intended for McIntyre. Was the closest
Exactly.
guy to it. That's why I thought it was going to be intercepted, and then McIntyre decided that he wasn't really going to go after it all that hard.
Deep post pattern, I guess, is what Fitzpatrick was running, but never really made it to the center of the field.
McIntyre was there, and Danny Zaneski was there also.
They also have in the game now Suko. Number 42 for the Tigers. 19 seconds, second down. And Chalice looks out to the left and slipping down, we'll call it. Was Eric Jones, one of the quad captains.
Joe McAlpine told me a couple of weeks ago. Joe's a very good official. He said a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not 100% sure that it's pass interference, I'm not going to call it. And he was talking at the Lyman Hall North Haven game that I was at. I thought there might have been an interference in the end zone. And he says, if I'm not 100% sure, I'm not going to drop the flag, period. And that was one of those cases right there where you look up here, and certainly if you're rooting for law, you say that was pass interference.
Carlton Jolly, watch out. And first down and 7 seconds to go.
That stops the clock. In order for the change to move now, if law moves quickly, it's going to get another play. But law is not moving particularly quickly. Mr. Charlie is kind of meandering off the field right now. And that is not going to help law at all. Law will not get the play because the clock should start.
Unless they have called a timeout, Hal.
Okay, law called the timeout.
Could be the last play of the half. Carlton Jolly. And does a good job to get the ball down inside the 30, but that's not what they need. They needed 6. The first half is ended. Somewhat. ball's forward to about the 36-yard line, where the Tigers will have their first possession here in the second half. 7-7 was the halftime score between the Lawmen and the Hand Tigers.
Chris, fortunately for the viewers, they didn't watch the entire halftime show, but I think we introduced everybody in Madison, Guilford, Clinton, and then came back to Madison for all the kids. We had the hand band introduced everybody from Sarah who was involved in the Special Olympics, which was a real nice tribute. And then we also had the annual Madison Youth Football Night, where all of the young kids who are going to be future Tigers, unless they go to Xavier Notre Dame, out onto Strong Field, maybe for the first time for some.
Blicker gets the start at tailback in the second half and gets the carry and takes the ball up to about the 40 for a pickup of 4. It'll bring up 2nd down 6. Opening minute of play here in the second half. Chris Wallach and Hal Levy top the press box from the Surf Club in Madison. Tigers
Starting to get windy, Chris.
That's right.
But Dunk forgot to raise the flag, so we can't really tell.
Tigers looking to improve on the season and make it 2 straight. Blicker, big hole, nice cutback, stays on his feet, up to midfield. A big pickup for Blicker of about 10 yards and a first down for the Tigers.
And once again, Grant Blicker, nice cutback, found a hole and got to it, made everything that he could out of the play.
Midfield.
And I would almost have to think after the first half, if Blickers can only go one way, perhaps he's more valuable on offense.
Quite possibly offensively, especially with Matt Cooper back, because Matt can play that other defensive end, and the Tigers don't get hurt that way.
And Zaneski sprints out, hits Marinville, beautiful pass, and Marinville forward to perhaps the 46 for a pickup of about 4. The same pass we saw earlier that Marinville wasn't able to handle. This time he gathered it in.
First completion tonight for the Tigers. Matter of fact, might be the first completion for either team. I'm trying to remember Law completing a pass in the first half, Chris, and offhand I don't.
I don't either. Tigers with 3 receivers to the left side. Reardon, McIntyre, and split wide left is Marinville. They'll come back to the right with Zaneski. And Zaneski will get over the 45 to about the 44 for a pickup of about 2, and that'll bring up 3rd down, and it looks like a long 3.
Chris, I'm going to guess right here that a little counter play would go a long way.
Pickup of 2 yards.
If you run that same formation, you set it up to a little bit of a drop step and then run the counter, either way, either with the fullback or with the tailback, I think you'll have a first down without a whole lot of problem.
Once again, same formation, and no tight end to the right. 3 receivers left. And he'll go left to Blicker. Blicker will get the first down, spinning, stays on his feet, inside the 40, down to the 38-yard line.
And more or less what I was looking for.
John Neary on the stop.
They didn't really run a counter per se, but basically coming out to that side and running that play to the wide side of the field, but away from the way that he spun off the snap.
3 minutes gone, 3rd quarter. Tigers out of the eye, pitch to Blicker, right side, gets a good block from Metz, a little sidestepping, and gets to the 35-yard line, perhaps, for a pickup of about 3.
2 to 3 on that play. Let's see what they spotted. Yeah, they're going to give him the full 3. They're going to give him all the way down to the 35-yard line.
For Law, pickup of 3. Be 3rd, be 2nd and 7.
And offensive line, Chris, as we mentioned in the first half, doing a very crisp job blocking.
Once again out of the eye, it's Cooper. And he'll plow forward for a couple after initially being hit right at the line of scrimmage. On the tackle for Law, Vinny Latanzi.
Vinny Latanzi makes the stop for Law.
And Vinny, a big boy at 6'2", 270.
Yeah, he's a very large individual, Chris. And, he's pretty easy to pick up on the field in terms of size.
And they're big. Their interior is awful big. 77 Trowbridge is listed at better than 200. Those are the 2 tackles, but they're a little slow off the ball. They are big. Blicker runs into a bunch of people and still manages to get forward for a yard or 2, it looks like.
You're gonna look here at 4th and about 3 yards.
It's a gain of 2.
And judging by what the Tigers have done previously, they'll be going for it here at the 31-yard line.
Yeah, the wind blowing, certainly blowing in Hand's face. There's absolutely no percentage for punting, and field goals out of the question. So you go for it. I'm going to guess wide side of the field, but Zaneski has come short side a few times.
And they come short side Blicker, and Blicker does not get it. It'll come up about a yard shy, and on downs, the ball will turn over to the lawman.
First down marker.
Blicker tried to extend the ball out, and the officials did not fall for it. And they marked it back behind the 29-yard line, which is going to be a yard and a half short of the first down.
Metz, Devine, Phillip, Cooper, Guzzio, Henneberry, Marinville, Monahan, O'Sullivan, McIntyre, and Zaneski. Starting defensive unit here in the second half. And nowhere for Valdieri.
Jimmy Metz coming off the bottom of the pile with a very, very good play. I was trying to see who came across that quickly, and I should have known it was Jimmy Metz because he has done one heck of a job tonight.
He's made a whale of a game. Actually, a loss on the play of about a yard. Second and 11. And we have gone quickly almost through the first half of this third quarter as the clock starts to wind down towards 6 minutes. And that's Carlton Jolly. Bumps into a couple people, and Monahan holds on and drags him down for a loss.
Jimmy Monahan, nice play, good penetration, and did not let Jolly get to the outside. When Jolly gets to the outside, as we saw in the first half, he's very dangerous.
Tiger defense kind of fired up here in the early moments of the second half. As Henneberry and Pat Lavin check in. Coming out, James Devine, Jimmy Devine, and also John Hevesy.
Ian putting a little more quickness in the lineup here, anticipating something, and Law does go to the shotgun.
Third and 18. It's Eric Jones split wide to the left. That's Fitzpatrick. They went to him once. He turned upfield too early. There'll be a penalty on the play, and it's Valdieri, and he's ridden down by Marinville at the 28-yard line.
On hand, I declined this one, and I forced the punt. Even though you're punting with the wind, and it was probably a 6-yard gain, why give him another play?
And the motion penalty is against the lawman. And obviously the Tigers
Steve Saccola and Larry Ciotti talking on the sideline.
I don't think there's any question here. It wasn't that big a pickup anyway.
Right. It is declined, as Stephen Rachi comes out and tells us it was an illegal motion. Chris, you called that exactly right. Real quickly.
At the Law 44-yard line. Grant Blicker, the ball carrier. Steve Jelly on the stop for Law. Gain of 4 yards. Bring up second and 6. Zaneski's pass is complete to Marinville. Ed Chalice on the stop for loss. Gain of 5, it'll be 3rd and 1. Zanetsky on a keeper, picks up a hand, first down. First and 10 hand at the law, 33. Zanetsky on a keeper. Tripped up by John Deary. Pickup of 2 yards. Be 2nd and 8 from the 31. Zanetsky's pass intended for Marinville is incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd and 8. Flicker on the ball carrier. Malik Saxton on the stop for Law. It'll be 4th and 5. Zanetsky dropped for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. Law is held on downs and will take over. Vinny Latenzi and Brian Sweedock combined on the stop for Law. Lawmen take over 1st and 10 on its own 33. Brian Fitzpatrick, the ball carrier. Gain of 3 yards. It'll be 2nd and 7 from the 36. Carlton Jolly, number 32, the ball carrier. Steve McIntyre, stop for hand. Gain of 2 yards, it'll be 3rd and 5 from the 38. Get your tickets ready at the end of the 3rd period. We will have the winning number drawn in the hand 50-50 raffle. fourth period begins. That is the end of the third quarter with the score. Hand 7, Law 7. Ladies and gentlemen. Matt Cooper on the carry. Picks up 6. It'll be 2nd and 4 from the 43. Zaneski on the keeper. Brian Sweedock on the stop for Law. Gain of 2. It'll be 4th and 2 from the 44. Grant Flicker carries for a hand first down inside Law territory at the 49. Ed Chalice on the stop for Law. First and 10 hand at the Law 49. Once again, the winning ticket number in the 50-50 lottery, 652888. Zelensky's pass intended for Burke is incomplete. Zaneski on a keeper. John Neary on the hit for Law. There is an official's timeout. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Matt Cooper carries. Stopped short of the 25. Gain of 2, it'll be 3rd and 5. Grant Flicker, the ball carrier. Jim McCarthy on the stop for Law. Pick up of 4 yards. It'll be 4th and 1. Charlotte's on the keeper, picks up a first down at the 34. Carlton Jolly at the carry. Paul Marinville knocked him out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Brian Fitzpatrick on the carry. Short of the first down. It'll be third. Up, correction, we're going to have a measurement. First down, Law. Carlton Jolly into hand territory before he is stopped by McIntyre and Hermanot. Gain of 8 yards. It'll be second and 2. Brian Fitzpatrick, stopped by Dan Zaneski at the 41. That is good for a Law first down. Carlton Jolly on the carry. Gain of 3. It'll be second and 7.